Alright, Shalom Wakim. This is the brother Shamar Moth
And Brother Lawyer.
from GMS Miami, giving all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahawah,
Yahawah, by Hashem, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to all out here, my dad, pushing his truth and all truth and sincerity diligently, man. Today's lesson we're gonna get into, we basically want to get into grafting,
The grafting of Roman 11.
correct, cut the water. So with that, just gonna jump right into it. This is Romans 11:16. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy, and if the root be holy, so are the branches.
Now, it says if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. So Paul's painting an image of a tree, okay? The first fruit would be the firstlings of the harvest, the first fruit that grow on the tree before or during the harvest, and the lump would be the rest of the fruit that grow after it, okay? The masses, the root, be holy, so are the branches, because the branches come from the root. So Paul's painting a picture of a specific tree, okay? The first fruit and the lump are of the same tree, and the root and the branches are of the same tree, okay? So right there alone, that alone should prove that Romans 11, when it's talking about the Gentiles being grafted in into this true tree as the lump, okay, and as new branches, that should prove alone, just by this verse alone, by the imagery that Paul is painting, is that they are of the same tree, they're of the same kind, okay. But we're gonna prove it with further detail, So go ahead, Hawk.
Verse 17. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partakers of the root and the fatness of the olive tree.
It says, if some of the branches were broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partaketh of the root and fatness of the olive tree. Okay, so it says that the branches of a wild olive tree would be grafted into an olive tree. Mind you, these trees are of the same seed. They're the same kind of tree. Okay, they're just different variations of the same kind. All right, and according to Scripture, Genesis chapter 1, brother, if you don't mind reading Genesis chapter 1 and 11.
This is Genesis 1 and 11. And the Most High said, let the earth be bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so.
Right. So the Most High, the powers, the Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit yielding the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. So these two olive trees, okay, are of the same kind biblically, okay. They're just variations of the same kind, all right. An apple biblically is an apple. You have green apples and you have red apples, okay, but they're both apples, all right. So if these two different olive trees are of the same kind, then that will mean that the people that these olive trees represent are the same people. They are of the same seed, okay, right, after their kind, all right. So the wild olive tree, which is supposed to represent the Gentiles being grafted in among the Jews, the circumcision who believed, who are the olive tree, they're of the same seed. They're of the same kind, which means they're the same people, all right. We're not even going to get into the definition of wild and go to Gentiles, Hosea chapter 1, Romans chapter 9, because we don't even need to with this particular topic. This is just basic botany. This is basic horticulture. This is basic gardening, okay? Any gardener, any garden enthusiast, any farmer, okay, any husbandman will tell you what we're telling you now, all right? Okay, that in order to graft, okay, two trees together, all right, one part of a tree to another, they would have to be of the same kind, and we got an article to prove it, okay? But before we even go to the article, let's get some more scripture. Leviticus 19:19, brother, if you don't mind.
This is Leviticus 19:19. Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mangled seed. Neither shall a garment mangle of linen and woolen come upon thee.
Right, okay. So the Most High said in his laws, he said that you're not supposed to sow a field, okay, with mingled seed, all right? Now, this is talking about if you were, to, plant a field of fruit or vegetables, you can't have multiple different kinds of seeds in it, mixing, okay, because that would allow diseases, and it would basically you would that would leave the whatever produce you're planting vulnerable to disease and decay and sickness, okay, because plants catch diseases too. But the point that we're trying to make is that if the Most High said in his law that we're not supposed to sow seed to a mingled seed, then how in the hell would he himself be grafting, okay, another nation into Israel, okay? Because this law forbids, okay, the grafting in and mingling of seeds and nations, actual physical, physical seeds as far as plants and stuff. So if we apply that same law here and to this metaphor, then it would be impossible, and it would make the Most High a hypocrite for him to be trying to mingle another nation or another seed into Israel,
Which he is not.
which he's not. And based off of horticulture, you can't graft two different kinds of plants together.
Point blank,
Okay,
period.
they have to be of the same seed after their kind, according to Genesis.
That's right.
All right. So now we got this article here to prove the point. All right. It says, can you graft different types of fruit trees together? All right. And brother, you can start at the first paragraph.
Alright. The trick to creating a multiple fruit-bearing tree is to graft several compatible varieties or species onto the same rootstock.
Right. It says a trick of creating multiple fruit-bearing seeds is to graft several compatible varieties or species onto the same rootstock. Okay? Onto the same rootstock. Compatible varieties and species. All right? So keep going, Ak.
This is easiest when using bud grafting. Since the rootstock experiences less shock, compatibility is determined by the species of fruit trees you wish to graft together. Generally speaking, they need to be very closely related for the graft to take successful.
Okay, so if you didn't
Successfully.
So if you didn't want to accept Leviticus 19, you said, okay, well, that's talking about, physical seeds and plants, and, how does Genesis, you don't want to accept that Genesis 1 applies to this? Okay, well then, out of the horse's mouth. Okay, generally speaking, they need to be very closely related for the graft to take successfully, okay? So, so with Paul's metaphor of the wild olive tree, the Gentiles being grafted in, and the olive tree, the natural olive tree, into this natural olive tree, which would be the Jews who believed, all right, that would mean that these two, according to this metaphor and according to culture, they would have to be very closely related for this graft to be successful, okay? And the reason why is because if not, okay, then that would mean that the wild olive tree would not be able to, or whatever tree that's not of the same kind would not be able to take or partake of the root and fatness of the olive tree. So it would not be able to absorb the nutrients and become and meld part of this tree. Now in this case, this partaking of the root and fatness of the olive tree would be all the riches and the promises and the glory that the Israelites received, okay, that they were promised to inherit, okay, by seed, okay, by bloodline. Okay, so if they were promised this by seed line, by bloodline, okay, then you would not be able to graft another tree or another kind of tree that was not of the same seed line, of the same kind, according to Genesis chapter 1, and have them partake of this root and fatness, okay, the promises and the glory and the covenants and the adoption of this wild olive tree. It wouldn't work, okay? It would be impossible, all right? Damn, kid. Brothers have done so many lessons on this, man, and people just can't get it, man. You gotta laugh sometimes.
For real.
Oh my goodness! Read the last sentence, bro.
Sometimes incompatible grafts may survive past the initial stages, but they eventually fail.
Right. It says sometimes incompatible grafts may survive past the initial stages. Okay, so maybe for the first couple of weeks. Okay,
Germination.
germination. All right, but they eventually fail.
Yep.
Now let's see how exact. Now let's muse a little bit, okay? Because we were trying to make this lesson very long. You know, we only got 4 scriptures. We got an article, and we're just gonna link the article and the scriptures. You know, based off of logical reasoning here, okay? When it comes to grafting, that the wild olive tree, which represents the Gentiles, and the natural olive tree, which represents the Jews or the circumcision that believed were the same people of the same kind. Okay, but let's muse a little bit. It says that incompatible grafts may survive past the initial stages, but will eventually fail. So let's assume that the wild olive tree. Okay, let's assume that this is talking about heathens. Let's assume that this is talking about actual Edomites according to lineage, actual Ammonites, actual Moabites, Mizraimites, etc., according to lineage, according to the seed. Okay, they're not Israelites at all. No doubt about it. Let's say that was the case. All right. It says that they would survive past the initial stages, but they would eventually fail. Why is that? Because eventually, okay, in the kingdom, you know, the heathen would eventually go into the kingdom and they would be enslaved. The root and fatness of the olive tree is talking about the promises and the covenants and the glory and all of that. And according to those same promises and glory and covenant, the heathen would be enslaved. So this graft, this graft of the wild olive tree into the natural olive tree, if this graft was actually talking about heathens, then it would eventually fail, because these heathens would be going into slavery. They would be under the curses, okay, getting killed, and the graft would be made of none effect. Why graft them? And just to destroy them? What the heck? They were going to be destroyed anyway.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't make any sense, kid. And then you see that with the heathen now, man. The heathen now that claim to be us, man. The Edomites and the other various heathen that claim to be Jews or whatever. All right, they claim to be our people. They claim to be of David and of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, etc., etc. You see them try to keep the laws, they go straight off, bro. They try to mix the laws and add extra bullshit into it, man. All right, you see that now, man. It doesn't work out. Okay. So, brother, keep reading.
All right. Back at Romans 11:18, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee.
Right, because basically they were both in it by faith. The root being Yahawashi, the root of Jesse. That was the reason why they were being grafted and back into the fold, was by faith. Okay. All right. So they had no reason to boast. That's basically the understanding of that scripture. Go ahead.
Thou wilt, Salat. Romans 11:19. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. Mm-hmm. For if the Most High spare not the natural branches, take heed lest he also spare not thee.
Right. If the Most High spare not the natural branches because of their lack of faith, then how do you think? And them going off, then what do you think the Most High is going to do to you, the Israelite foreigners being grafted in, if you are high-minded and you don't fear the Most High like they didn't? All right, but you know, let's you know, just
skip ahead.
Not even skip ahead. We don't even need to skip ahead. Let's just hit a few scriptures, man, proving that the olive tree is Israel. Okay.
Alright, this is Jeremiah 11:16. Yahawah by Shema Shai called thy name a green olive tree, fair and of goodly fruit. With the noise of a great tumult, he hath kindled fire upon it, and the branches of it were broken.
So the Most High said that Israel is a olive tree. Okay, the house of Judah, house of Israel, they're the green olive tree, fair of a goodly fruit. But the Most High had the branches to be broken off. Okay, go ahead.
For Yahawah of hosts that planted thee have pronounced evil against thee for the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah, which they have done against themselves to provoke me to anger and offering incense unto Baal.
Right, so Most High calls the house of Israel and the house of Judah a green olive tree, and the Most High pronounced evil against them because they worshipped idols. Okay, now, like going back to the original point, in order to graft, okay, in order to for a graft to be successful, they have to be of the same seed and of the same kind. Okay, so if the branches were broken off out of this olive tree, the ones that were being grafted at back in of the wild olive tree, they would have to be of the same seed, and that's evident because when you look at it, the wild ones that's being grafted in are called a wild olive tree. It doesn't say apple tree. It doesn't say orange tree. It doesn't say mango. It doesn't say avocado. It doesn't say watermelon. It says olive tree, okay? So this olive tree, even though it's wild, is of the same kind as the natural olive tree, okay? It's of the same kind. Wild olive tree, natural olive tree makes no difference. No difference. They're of the same seed, of the same kind, all right? Oh my goodness, bro! This thing is so simple. Go ahead, Isaiah 5:1, because even in the prophets, it gives you a similar metaphor to what's being written in Romans 11 about the wild olive tree and the natural olive tree, but it's the metaphor is described differently by Isaiah. Go ahead,
This is Isaiah 5:1. Now will I sing to my well beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the chosen vine, the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein, and he looked that it should bring forth grapes. And it brought forth water grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth water grapes. And now, go to. I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the walls thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste; it shall not be pruned nor digged, but there shall come up
briars and thorns.
Thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no more upon it. For the vineyard of Yahawah of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah is Slot, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant, and he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression for righteousness, but behold a cry.
So the Lord said. That Isaiah said that the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah are his pleasant plant, man. Okay, and in this song, in this prophecy, okay, Isaiah described the house of Judah and the men of Israel and Jerusalem as the Most High wanting to plant forth grapes, but behold, it brought forth wild grapes. Okay, so the Most High brought judgment upon his vineyard. Okay, so if in the Old Testament the Most High calls the wild grapes and the grapes the house of Israel and the house of Judah, then how much more the New Testament? The Most High said that He doesn't change. Okay, all right. So the wild olive tree, the wild olives, and the natural olives will be the house of Israel and the house of Judah and Jerusalem. All right. Now let's go back to the article and let's continue reading. Just to drive the point home that you can't graft another seed, okay, another seed line into a seed of a different plant to graft it successfully. proving that the wild olive tree and the natural olive tree would have to be the same people, obviously, because physically and literally speaking, in order for those two plants to graft successfully, they would have to be of the same seed, and that you can see that because they're both called olive trees.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
All right, compatible species. Most fruit trees are compatible within their species, but many are also compatible within their genus. That means that prunus species such as plums, nectarines, and peaches can be grafted onto the same tree. Apples and crab apples are often gathered together to create a tree that can self-pollinate and prolong the apple harvest. Another common fruit salad tree is created when many types of citruses are combined onto a single rootstock.
Right. So it says that most fruit trees are compatible within their same species, but many are compatible within the same genus, the same seed, the same gene means origin, okay, of the same origin, the same bloodline. All right. That's how you get compatible grafts, okay? That's how you do it. They have to be of the same genus, of the same species, or of the same kind, like it said in Genesis. This is not rocket science. And it's really the Most High got to be working with you, kid, because the doctrine out there is that the wild olive tree is the heathens and the natural olive trees is the Jews, okay? And that the heathens gonna be grafted in, even though they're of another nation, to partake of the promises and covenants of the Jews, the Israelites. But that doesn't make sense when you look at the nature of this metaphor. Okay, it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. It is literally scientifically impossible. It is biblically impossible. Okay. So let's read the last paragraph and then we'll be out of here, man. Why compatibility matters.
Why compatibility matters. The fact that grafts between incompatible trees fail often immediately is widely understood, but the mechanism behind this failure is harder to see. At the cellular level, two trees are attempting to communicate and merge their vascular systems to make a single structure. No exchange of DNA takes place, but the rootstock does require similar cells for a healthy connection. The bud forms a callus on the cut side almost immediately as the rootstocks what's that word?
As the rootstocks xylem.
As the rootstocks xylem cell are at work attempting to grow over the bud. After several weeks, the bud is completely surrounded by the rootstock's tissue, and the nutritional transport system begins to join. If the rootstock finds tissues that it cannot communicate with because of cellular or chemical incompatibility, the graft fails and the bud dies from starvation.
Okay, so this part of the article is basically saying that the reason why grafts fail is because the DNA is not compatible. Okay, the tissues can't communicate. Okay, because they're of two different seeds. Okay, they're two different kinds of plants, so they transfer nutrients differently. Okay, they're the organs that they use to transfer nutrients and grow cells and things like that operate differently. Okay, so heathen can't be grafted into Israel because we got a totally different spirit about us. Okay, we got totally different ways of being. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have totally different origins. That's why in the kingdom we gonna have to force the heathen to keep the commandments. Okay,
that's right.
That's why. Okay, because they can't just come in willingly and do it. Every attempt you seen of the heathen try to, they go way off, man. And our people go off by trying to follow them. Okay, so how would it make sense to even be trying to graft no damn heathens in this shit, kid? Don't make any sense. And then Yo, Paul said that the Gentiles are Israelites, bro. Romans 9, Hosea 1. If you can't get it by now, you're just a retard. You're a lost soul, okay? And that's about all I got to say, man. You got anything else you want to say?
What I got to say is, all right, the Most High only deals with the seed of Israel through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all right? Isaac had Jacob and what, Esau?
Yeah.
Esau's a whole different fucking person, okay? Jacob had 12 tribes. The 12 tribes got scattered, and the Most High only deals with Israel because of the line of promise. Nobody else, man. Moab did not come from Jacob. Esau did not come from Jacob. Ammon did not come from Jacob, all right? So therefore, none of those heathens can get the same promises or the same deliverance or the same treatment as the children of Jacob is going to receive, man. How difficult is that for you morons to understand? You can't grab a banana tree with an apple tree. It won't work. If you got an apple, whether it's a Granny Smith apple or a delicious apple or a green apple, you could graft down to the same tree. Okay? So Israel is that apple, all right? The freaking the Greek speaking Jews are delicious apples, all right? And the freaking circumcision Israelites, they were the green apples, and the Most High is just putting them on one tree. How hard is that for you to understand, man?
Not difficult at all.
Come on, man.
And really, man, to say that, I mean, it's reiterating the point, but still, man, to say that the wild olive tree would be are heathens being grafted into the natural olive tree, that is the pinnacle of intellectual ignorance or intellectual dishonesty. Okay, because in order for this graft to be successful, the reason why the graft is even successful to begin with is because these two trees are of the same kind. So if this metaphor is supposed to represent two trees that are of the same kind, that's why one is being grafted into another, then how in the hell could the wild olive tree be heathens, okay, of a different seed if these two trees are of the same seed and of the same kind? They would have to be both of the same lineage. Oh my goodness, bro.
What y'all want us to do? Y'all want us to break down what the wild olive tree, what it means by wild olive tree? We did it already. Me and the brother Lloyd sat here and we explained why the heathens were considered wild olive trees, man.
Why the Israelite foreigners?
Israelite foreigners. Salah. Why the Israelite foreigners were considered wild olive trees, man.
Brothers went into it, man. Brothers went into it.
Brothers been going into it. The apostles been going into it, man.
Oh man, let's you know what?
The point has been made.
The point has been made, man.
I have no more to say.
Khan. So with that, we're gonna give all praises to
Yahawah,
Yahawah, Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahawashi, double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and all the elders, and salutations to all the Akim out there pushing the word of Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi in truth and sincerity. With that, we're gonna say Shalom.
Shalom.